Ellis driving baseline. What a dive!
Wickham, how sweet was that? Step back three,
Wow.
Taylor George. She's got a flamethrower at the moment.
Shelley with a big triple.
It was acrobatic, it was impressive, it was Steph Talbot.
Jade Melvin, the lefty lay-in. Capitals continue to roll. Perth have been unconscious from three. Alice Koenig connects.
She's pumped up, and so she should be.
Hello and welcome to Game 2 of your Saturday night doubleheader. It's the WNBL, it's the Townsville Entertainment Centre, it's the Townsville Fire up against the Southside Flyers. My name is Matt Hickey. I'm joined by the legendary, the coach extraordinaire, Zoe Carr. And Zoe, another game right here. Two teams that played just a week ago, but how about that finish? We'll get to it a little bit later, but geez, it was an exciting game last week. Hopefully we get the same tonight.
It was, and I'm really excited to see this contest because the Flyers will be desperate to make up for the finish of that last game. But obviously Townsville looking to really consolidate their form leading into finals.
Yeah, they certainly are. They sit third at the moment, 8-5, and they're one of three teams who've kind of separated themselves from the rest of the group, whereas the Southside Flyers are the only team that have less than 5 wins after the earlier result that we had tonight. And that was an exciting game between the UC Caps and the Adelaide Lightning, and it was the Capitals who got the job done. They were very impressive in that contest, 91-76. It toed and froed at times, if that's a real sentence, but it was the Caps who came out in the end in that first game.
It did. It was a seesawing affair with momentum shifting to both teams, but ultimately the Caps were able to really defend their end of the floor and capitalise offensively, and they're on a bit of a run now.
They certainly are, and you would have seen as well the Flyers played early this round and went down. But let's turn our attention to the Townsville Fire, and let's turn our attention to that incredible win just a week ago, Saturday, Jan 4, and it's a night that Abby Ellis will remember for a very, very long time, won't she, Zoe?
She absolutely will. You can always remember when a buzzer beater at any stage if you're lucky enough to have won a game, which you can see here, but you know, the Flyers will be desperate to make sure that they're not even in this position where it can come down to that last shot.
She shot that from Townsville, I think. She was that far out. She might have shot that from Townsville, Abby Ellis. And it's the shot that you practice as a kid, running around, commentating to yourself, the clock winding down. Although normally in the backyard you need about 3 or 4 goes at it. Abby Ellis only needed 1, and she went bang. Really impressive. One of the key pillars really across this entire season for Townsville has been Courtney Woods. Just such a star and so efficient at what she does.
Absolutely. She controls the tempo for the Flyers, really sets them up both at the offensive and defensive end. And you see that she's not only scoring, she's facilitating. She gets others into the game, but also takes over when she needs to. And she's such a big pillar for this team.
She certainly is, and they're a team that are playing very, very well. And potentially on the opposite side of that is the reigning champions, the Southside Flyers, who, as I said, played on Wednesday night. They won the opening quarter against Geelong 18-9. They looked like they were going to coast to victory. Ended up losing by 6 points. It was a really tough affair, and they have to come out really strong here tonight, don't they, Zoe?
They do, and the addition of Bet Cole back into the lineup, she obviously played in that game, but in the last game against Townsville, but sustained an injury, so wasn't able to play towards the end of the game. So her coming back into the lineup will definitely help them, particularly at the defensive end.
It certainly will. Now, one of the standouts, despite the Flyers only winning 1 of their last 5, is Dallas Lockridge. And she's averaging 13.5 points across the last 4 games, and against Geelong had 22. She's really taking a step up.
She is, and it's so good to see because, you know, she's faced a bit of adversity in her young career with some sustaining some long-term injury, but she's rehabbed that and she's back to form, and she's showing us that she is a real player in this league.
And by the way, for all those playing at home, that's how she pronounces her own last name, so that's what we're running with in comms. I think it's a pretty safe source of information, that is for sure. Now, one of the really interesting storylines in this, there's a few. One of them is Alice Koenig, who is just 1 single point away from 3,000 points. She'll become the 40th player, if she does it. I hope she doesn't Steve Smith it, to score 3,000 points in the WNBL. So all eyes on that first point for Alice Koenig. The second thing that's worth shouting out is Kylie Vovoden will ref. This game is her 200th. She's kicked it all off in 2001, and she'll be the third WNBL official to reach 200 games. So bravo, Kylie, and we are underway. It's Townsville in the orange, it's Southside in the white, and it's the Fire who will get the first look. Somewhat stagnant look to get things going. Cox thought about it and sent a bullet, but sent it out of bounds.
And that's a really promising start for the Flyers from a defensive perspective. They've been pretty disappointed with their defensive output in their last few games. So to start with a stop is really pleasing for them.
No doubt about that. And that's some heavy contact. Yeah, we were talking pre-game about where has it gone wrong a little bit for the Flyers? And now, obviously, massive roster change. New coach comes in. You can't expect the lofty highs that they reached last season. But defense really seems to be the area that they need to knuckle down on.
It is, and Christy has been vocal on the fact she wants that to improve. So I'm sure we will see that, tonight and in the coming games.
That might be another foul. Shot clock winding down. Going to have to get something up. Kunek for 3,000. No. Says just steady on for a second. I'll get there. Always a great crowd in Townsville as well. Wraparound pass. Not quite there for Courtney Woods. Has been averaging just a tick over 3 turnovers per game, which is a little unusual for her.
Yeah, but she's also averaging a high amount of assists as well. So, with the amount of time she does have the ball in her hands, turnovers are going to happen. That sort of a turnover I don't mind, because she's trying to find a rolling Alicia Froling going to the rim and getting her in that receiver spot. So the intent of that's a turnover that as a coach you're kind of okay with.
Worth noting, Beck Cole suited up, not starting though, so we'll keep an eye on her and just see how many minutes she gets across this game. Missed that game against Geelong. Stagnant offense as Rochi from the car park will call it a pass, and Naz Hillman manages to score the first points of the game.
And unlucky for Townsville there, they did everything right except that last little minute there when the shot clock heaved.
Abby Ellis picks up from where she left off against the Flyers and buries a triple.
She's been shooting incredibly well this season, and something that the Fire do a great job of utilising. They find her wide open so often in games for such a good shooter.
Ball kicking around. That's a nicer possession in terms of movement and execution. They got a decent look in the corner there from Hillman. Doesn't drop, so it's the early lead after the first 2 minutes for the Fire. Just a couple of baskets. Alice swinging through with confidence. Not quite. And now the Flyers can run. Here is Lockridge. Thinks better of it and just resets for the moment. Kunek thought about the shot, thought about the pass, just caught in two minds. Courtney Woods almost left it behind, but Townsville will get another look. Some heavy contact down low. Fowler and Rochi going to war. Single digits again on the shot clock. Woods into the hip of Kunek, not quite. Froling tried to wrestle the rebound. It's a bit of a rough and tumble game at the moment. It's a little loose, Zoe.
It is, and there's a lot of sort of fumbles and deflections, and as both teams try to settle in, but that's where your execution becomes really important. If you don't execute against when pressure's that high, it's going to continue to be either turnovers or really late rush shots.
Lockridge missed the jumper, but what you might have missed in that possession was Alice Kunek's mouthguard fell out, and while she was dribbling, she picked it up off the ground and put it back into her shorts. If that's not talent, I'd love to see the Harlem Globetrotters try to do that. Froling not happy with a little bit of the treatment she received. The Frolings just always seem to be right in the thick of it, don't they? They don't mind a bit of a scrap.
Yeah, well, as I've said in other broadcasts, could you imagine the backyard basketball in that family?
Me. On another level. Kunek going hard to the basket, flipping it up, block. Big defensive play from Froling. Woods, good drop-off pass. It did everything but drop for Cox. Now Alice Kunek for 3,000. There she is, the 40th player to do it in WNBL history. Bravo, Alice Kunek joins her teammate Beck Cole, her coach Christy Harrower. A fantastic player, and no doubt there's plenty more points to come. And Woods, nice little jumper. I think people forget Courtney Woods is a player who last year was a 50-40-90 player. Like, that's unbelievable.
Yeah, amazing statistics. And you see how with those statistics, she still facilitates and gets others into the game. If I had those sort of statistics, I don't think I'd ever pass. But she's just a hell of a player and a really good story for a lot of young athletes. She's really worked her way through this into this position from, you know, just a development player, and then just moved her way up, and now she's, you know, the main starting point guard for the Fire.
No doubt about that. Went to NIU and was, I think, the all-time leading three-point scorer, second in all-time points, so left her legacy there, and she's doing the same here in Townsville. There's a bit of this going on at the moment where players can't seem to really get a good handle on the ball. Big clash of bodies. Maybe it's the humidity in Townsville.
But you can also see there's a real defensive emphasis from the Flyers here. That this is a defensive effort that we did not see in the last game. So they've clearly spoken about it. It's clearly a standard for them for tonight, and you can see it starting to pay off, because I'm not sure the Fire have been 5 points halfway through the first quarter in any game this season so far.
As a coach, are you happy to kind of overlook the fact that you've only scored 4 yourself and the offense isn't doing a heap, because that point of emphasis, it's ticking a box? Yeah,
at the moment you want to continue to maintain that effort and that pressure, and until the points start to come. They will come eventually, especially if they can continue to put the pressure on the Fire and not allow them easy looks.
Great insight from Zoe Carr as Kunek tries to go to 3,004. Don't worry, we won't be counting that every single time she shoots from across the night. Crowd just waiting for something to happen here for the Fire, but just not clicking at the moment, and you can tell all the players wiping their hands on the jerseys, the humidity in Townsville causing a bit of chaos.
Really important now, though, for Southside that they get a high percentage look here. Execute their offense, hit their screen, separate quickly, and get a high percentage look, because Townsville will find their feet offensively. So you need to punish them as quickly as you can and as often as you can while you're getting stops.
Down to almost 1 second on the shot clock. Lockridge, step back triple, got it to go. She's in great form at the moment and continues on her merry way. 10.8 points per game on the season, but 13.5 in the last 4 games. One of yours, Zoe.
Oh, I'd love to say one of mine, but no, she's probably more a product of the great Mike McHugh down at Wonthaggi. But just, yeah, it is a proud moment, I must be honest, watching the way she's playing in the league.
And with such confidence, and you can see every game getting the start again here. Every game she just seems to grow with confidence, and you get to see, of course, had that ACL injury that took away a lot of that year of development. She's only still young.
Exactly, and she's got so much more that she's going to be able to do in this league, and she's learned so much and is contributing so much to this Flyers team. And she's just thrived under Christy as well, who, you know, plays, she models a lot of her game on.
Not quite there for Cox. Hasn't quite been able to really put her fingerprints on this one just yet. Reed goes to the basket, and it did absolutely everything but drop. That's the roles that you tend to get when you're playing away from home. It looks like Becca Cole is going to check in for Reed after these free throws. Now, for those playing along at home, it was top of 31-ish, Townsville, 74% humidity. And whatever this means, it was a waxing gibbous moon phase.
Excellent.
Not words I thought I'd mention on a WNBL broadcast, but I'm sure someone's interested in that.
Bet Cole checking into the game now, so that's pleasing to see for the Flyers that she's able to actually get some minutes and rejoin her team. So, you know, hopefully from a defensive perspective, it'll help take it up another level.
How's the spin from Mansfield? That was quite impressive. Got herself out of a little bungle. It's going to be interesting to see how all these guards play together, isn't it, Zoe?
Yeah, you know, sometimes you can have too many guards, but from Southside's perspective, they have such points of difference. You know, some of them are scoring, some of them are facilitating, some are tempo, some are slow. You know, so it's they all fit and they all work for different ways and different times of the game.
Saw a few of them combine there, but couldn't get the shot off in time. It's also worth shouting out for the first time in over 2,000 days, and thank you, Megan Huswaite, for that great stat. Nia Coffey is back out on a WNBL floor.
The Townsville Fire are the masters of the mid-season recruit. They have done it the last couple of years, but this is a massive addition to the Fire.
Strong finish there from Cox. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. It's always hard for a mid-season recruit to come in and have an immediate impact, but we know the talent that she is. We've seen it before, and no doubt she'll just work herself into it. And Shannon Seabohm, we know how good of a coach he is, and he'll manage to get her involved, and it's going to be a foul, much to the disappointment of the home fans. There's a few boos ringing out across the Townsville Entertainment Centre.
But a good executed play getting Rochi relatively open there. I would have liked to see her just a little mid-range pull-up jumper because she's definitely got that in her skill set. But again, starting to find their feet offensively, so the scores will come.
Great chance to shout out the great folk at Signet. Stay power with Signet, Australia's favourite power bank brand. Keep your devices charged. Never miss a moment. Visit signet.com to find your perfect power bank. That's CYGNETT.com to find your perfect power bank. That's how good it is. Look at that. Even Alicia Froling is shook by how good Signet.com is.
Just tangled up on that rebound there. Could have probably gone either way, but the intent of both players attacking the glass is a good one. The only, I guess, part that makes it a little bit tough is that the Fire in the bonus. So while they've got the Flyers struggling to score, now they get to go to the line and continue to tick the scoreboard over.
And no team fouls on the Flyers at this point either, which is, as you say, so massive in what's been a really scrappy, low-scoring first quarter. And there's still 2 minutes to play, so keep an eye on that free throw count as this one trickles along. Lauren Mansfield leading the charge. They go to Coffey. Can she get her first points back? Will she get the attempt from the free throw line? Much to the joy of the Townsville fans.
And a great play there too by the Fire to be able to empty out that weak side to allow the back seal for Coffey. And the Flyers aren't going to be able to let that continue, because if one thing the Fire do really well is if something works, they just continue to go at it and they don't care about, you know, we've done this before. They will continue to make the Flyers pay. So they need to find a way, whether they sort of half front rather than 3/4 front, and try and push her out of court down past the baseline. So then it doesn't matter if that lob goes over the top. Use the basket as protection.
You can see there, Kunek called for an offensive foul off the ball. Just a tick over 90 seconds remaining here in this first quarter. Low scoring. It's been a really interesting battle. 12-7. This is a similar position that the Flyers were in against Geelong on Wednesday night. What are they going to do differently as this game progresses? They won that first quarter 18-9, so...
You can see here how hard the Flyers are working at not allowing the Fire to come off any of their on-ball screens. Maybe got away with a little bit of a bump there, but you can see them trying to send them away from the screen, so dictating terms defensively from the Flyers.
Great to see Saffron Shields getting some early minutes. So long, could be a real defensive weapon. She develops her game. Kunek for 3 off back iron. Again, Townsville got to start burying some of these opportunities. Because if it is a bit of a slow-scoring slog, a 5-point margin ends up being a fair bit. That's a good high percentage look. And Lauren Cox comes through and scores.
And pick and roll play, particularly in a flowing sense, so it's not a still or walk-up set. Then when they're on the move, is going to be really hard for the Flyers to defend, particularly with Lauren Cox rolling to the basket.
It's another game where you feel like cheap and easy baskets like that are going to be really, really important. Mansfield, what a save. Coffey, what a save. One extra pass. Talk about team basketball. That is the Townsville Fire at their very best. Have a look at that. Cole turns the corner. Just unfortunate timing that Kunek was cutting at the same time, brought her defender into the paint, and it got a little too busy in there for the Flyers. And so there's 9.1 on the clock here for Townsville. Got to go quick. Shields in no rush. Now goes to work. Cox turns it over. Beck Cole can let one fly from way downtown. No dice, and that will bring to an end a tough slog of a first quarter, but an entertaining one nonetheless. It's the Southside Flyers looking to get their season back on track. Hello and welcome back to the Townsville Entertainment Centre, the second leg of our doubleheader. And it was a slowish start, so let's not dress it up. It was a bit of a slow start from both teams.
It was, but it was also a bit of a defensive slog. Both teams were putting a lot of pressure on and were trying to really disrupt each other's offense. So that's what can tend to happen when both teams have that sort of endeavour. But you know, Townsville looked really good when they were playing in transition, and they were using screens in transition. So punch screens or mid picks was really hard for the Flyers to get the coverage that they wanted on that, because they're trying to send them away from those screens. But Southside just need to keep putting heat on the rim. They're 5 of 6 from the foul line right now, and while scores aren't coming too easy, that's a great place to try and just continue to roll the scoreboard over. And then the higher percentage shots are more likely to be able to convert.
Yeah, that free throw point is spot on when you consider that they're shooting 3 of 15 from the field compared to Townsville's 5 of 11. Interestingly, these are two of the better teams in terms of ball security. They're tied for second best in terms of turnovers, only commit 15 per game each. this game to start in the first quarter, Townsville have had 7 in the first quarter and 4 for Southside. So one to really keep an eye on as this one progresses. Who's going to be able to secure the ball and look after possession? As we just wait for a little clock incident. It wouldn't be a game of basketball with just a fixing of the clock at some point, so it's tradition. Corner triple, good knockdown basket, and that's a handy start for the Southside Flyers.
And again, putting that heat on the rim creates that. You never want to help off strong side corner like that, but if they do, it's a great way to punish teams in collapsing defense.
This is the battle that really interests me. Cox v. Hillman. Cox goes to the left, doesn't get it to go, points Hillman on that occasion. Hillman up to 7 points as well. Kunek wide open. That's great offensive execution from the Flyers.
This is exactly how they will have wanted to respond coming out of that timeout, quarter time break, and making sure that they're getting the shots that they want, but they're also getting the stops that they want.
Collision between the two Flyers players, but they do get that stop that they would have wanted. There's no doubt about that. Hustling back down the other direction. Now happy to look to get into a bit of a half-court set. Beck Cole flips it up and flips it in. Welcome back, Beck Cole, after missing that game against Geelong. A pretty handy play to have off the bench.
Definitely the impact she's able to have at both ends of the floor, but I love that finish off one step. Makes it so hard for shot blockers to really read your shot and try and make a play at it. Especially
when one of those shot blockers in the paint is Lauren Cox, who averages over 3 a game. This time out is brought to you by the WNBL app. Now, you can get stats like that stat by Lauren Cox and plenty others, and all of the live stats of today's game in the free WNBL app. You can also check out game highlights, team and player info, and more. Download it from the App Store today. Get your hands on the WNBL app. And I tell you what makes it even better and what makes everything a bit better. It's free. So why wouldn't you?
Exactly right.
So if you're Shannon Seabohm in this timeout, Zoe, what's the message? Because the defense through the first quarter, fantastic. And the first minute 20 here, a little bit lapsed, but you're still getting some okay looks at the offensive end.
Yeah, the looks that they're getting are still good. They probably want to, again, go back to, in a half-court set, go back to those high-low looks and really try and punish the lack of centres or forward centres that the Flyers have. So try and set up, say, Kunek or Reed for a post-up with clearing, like we saw earlier, clearing out that weak side. But it'll be all about the D. They can't fall asleep defensively, because we saw just then how well they did in that first quarter, and then they fall asleep for a couple of minutes and the Flyers pile on the points.
There's Courtney Woods, and amongst all the orange trees, well done Naz Hillman pulling in that rebound. Rochi straight to work. That's a tough finish. Maddie Rochi for 2 more for the Flyers. Leads into double digits. Great start to this quarter. It is a 10-zip run in the first 2 minutes of the second period. Can Abby Alice once again disrupt Southside? She certainly can. Steps into that dribble.
An incredible finish from Abby Ellis too, to be able to really settle it a little bit. It was starting to really look like the Flyers were about to run away with the momentum, but that just steadies the ship a little bit for the Fire.
Now shooting over 40% from the land of plenty this season. The spin. The points are going to count. Hoop plus the harm. And Alex Fowler will go to the line for one more.
And that's what I want to see Townsville get back to, their running game. Really challenge the Flyers' defensive transition. Try and get on the rim as quick as they can. And look, if that ended up being a charge, you'd be okay with it still, even though it does add to the turnover count. So continue to put that pressure on, and the scores will flow. Because I think Southside, one of the things that has been a bit of a weakness for them this season is the ability to not only stop the ball early, but then maintain or take care of the basket in transition.
If you're Coach Harrow here, do you think about a quick timeout just to stop this little run, this little swing of momentum?
Not quite yet. I think if they go empty on this possession and there's another score, then yeah, you're probably starting to think about it. But there's also an element of the players need to start figuring this out for themselves as well.
And they do right there as Reed. A little too easy from a Townsville perspective. Swings right through and scores, and that's the settling basket. And that's why I'm a commentator and not a coach, because you just let the players deal with it. Never in doubt. Shields. Good little tip from Cole. It worked out really well. Great hands from Mansfield. Loose again. There's a whistle on the floor. It's going to go Townsville's way. That was helter-skelter stuff. Let's have a look at the replay. Tipped from Alice. Tipped back again, but I think it's going to be a foul on Maddie Rocci. Just a clip on the leg there. Abby Alice averaging about 11 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists per game. As I said, over 40% now from deep, almost 90% from the free throw line. Just a player who, similar to Dallas Lockridge, seems to just have grown monumentally in confidence since the start of the season.
Yeah, and has come into this league and just trying to make it her own and doing a great job of it. She's definitely somebody that's quite high on the scout sheet of every team.
And seems to be enjoying playing off the ball a little bit, as we see Cox go to work and score, while Courtney Woods takes up the kind of primary floor general role.
Yeah, and I like that look too, being able to use the 2 point guards in different ways, sometimes using Ellis as the primary point guard, but then playing her off the ball and as more of a shooter, given how well she's shooting the ball.
And then you can bring Lauren Mansfield off the bench, which is a pretty handy addition, or just bring an Olympian off the bench if you don't mind. So lead 5 at the moment for the Flyers. 6:20 here in the second quarter. Flyers looking to be the last team to get to 5 wins across the year. But it'll mean that if they do, they'll go from 4th all the way down to 8th. All the teams will be on 5 wins, which is remarkable. Alice from deep again. She's really feeling it. Big rebound from Coffey. Welcome back to the WNBL. Climbed up, and those go-go gadget arms are pretty handy.
Well, and that's when one of the things that's really important, particularly for young athletes that might be watching this, predictable shots are reboundable. So whilst, people might look at that shot from Alice, the Fire expect her to shoot that. So then Coffey is able to rebound it because she knows that shot is going to go.
Single digits on the shot clock. Coffey from deep. Did everything but drop. Looked nice out of the hand, but that might just be because she's a lefty. Rocci might have gotten away with a little walk there. Great pass, though, to Hillman. It doesn't drop. And away from home, those are the baskets you need to get going.
And you can feel the momentum shift sort of starting to swing back to Townsville slowly, but it's starting to happen. And that's where those layups that were sort of gimmies earlier in the quarter are now falling short.
Yeah, the crowd really waiting. They want to get involved in this game. Flyers have to keep them out of it for as long as they can. Hillman for 3. Line drive. It's flat, but it's good. Naz Hillman, what a game she's putting together already. She's up to 10 points.
And Lauren Cox cannot be that low defensively in the key. She's got to respect Hillman's 3. She can shoot that, and she's shown us all season that she can shoot that.
Beck Cole, block on one end, almost the score on the other. And it's a big positive for the Southside as well. If they can draw Lauren Cox out of the paint, all of a sudden your slashers and your players like a Beck Cole who likes to get into the paint, it really frees them up.
It does, and it also allows that space to be able to go freely and put pressure on the rim. But Lauren Cox saying anything you can do, I can do better. The bigs are just having a three-point party.
Just a friendly reminder to us that, yeah, I can still shoot the ball as well. Don't you worry about that. Had a great college career at Baylor, did Lauren Cox, 2019 National Championship. She was Big 12 Player of the Year in 2020, two-time Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year, so a fair resume. Lockridge hesitated, and Lauren Cox worried her out of the points. Good tip from Mansfield, fighting for it, collected it. 3-on-2 here for the Fire. Can they make them pay? Alice stepped out of bounds. Get rid of that negative step, Zoe.
There it is, the backward step to go forwards. If athletes can have their first step be straight to forwards, we'll lose a lot of out of bounds calls there. But you saw an example of, in that previous possession of the Flyers, everyone expected Lockridge to shoot that, and so it threw them out of their flow offensively once it came back out.
5-point lead to the Flyers, inside 4 minutes to play in the first half. Comes out to Alice, and had a hot start, but has just gone a little cold. An unusual sight seeing her not even get rim there. We're going to see some substitutions on the floor. In fact, I think we're going to see a timeout on the floor. 3:40 to play in the second quarter, and we hope that Abby Ellis just keeps letting that thing fly, despite the air ball.
Yeah, it's not something that shooters really get discouraged by. They'll continue to shoot the ball, and that's the mentality they have to have, because the second they start to doubt themselves, that's when they start to go on a skid with their percentages. So she won't be worried about that, and if it hits her hands and she's open, it will go again.
And a big job of the coaching staff to instill that confidence as well. The license to shoot, this time out brought to you by CTM Sports, calling all sports teams. Say goodbye to travel headaches and hello to CTM Sports. CTM are 100%, that's 100% committed to delivering excellence in their field. Leave the logistics to the travel experts so your athletes can focus on what they do best. Learn more at ctmsport.com.au. That's CTM Sport, I can spell out sport for you as well, sport.com.au.
I was really hoping for a Homer Simpson SMRT moment from you then.
To be honest, I probably wasn't far off, Zoe. As I was saying the words, I'll spell that out for you as well. Geez, I hope I get this one right. So we're just about ready to get back underway, and it's been the battle between the bigs, which you touched on, Zoe. Naz Hillman, 10 points, 6 rebounds. Lauren Cox, 9 points, 3 rebounds, and an assist. And that's a really, really fantastic matchup to watch as this game develops. Townsville crowd slowly finding their voice. A little run to end the first half will get them well and truly up and about. Always a great crowd in Townsville. Reed and Hillman, two-player game, drops off to Hillman. Fantastic find, fantastic finish, and fundamental basketball at its finest.
Yeah, the long offense, ball shift into an on-ball screen with an emptied outside. That is the offense that the Flyers need to continue to play.
Another turnover for Townsville. That is their 10th. Starting to be a little bit of a concern. As a coach, is there much that you can say aside from look after the ball?
Yeah, it's hard because you want to highlight it, but then there's also a case of you don't want them to freeze up either, because that leads to more turnovers. So you need to, you definitely need to make sure that your lineups are where they need to be to take care of the ball. But for Townsville in the first quarter, their turnovers weren't too bad. They were positive turnovers and aggressive turnovers that were seeking opportunities that were there. They just weren't quite executed. Now they're starting to become problem turnovers where there's no chance of actually scoring out of it or anything like that, and it's not putting any pressure on the Flyers defense.
It's a little bit of the same vein when a coach tells a team, guys, we need to make our free throws. What do you reckon we're trying to do? High-low action wasn't quite there. They went the extra one to get a better angle. But again, another turnover. Number 11. They average only 15 on the season. Feet set, other end Flyers. Can they make them pay? Not quite. Coffee. Called for a charge. That is a big call. Not impressed, Coffee. Reed did a good job to get position. We'll be able to have a look on the replay. Zoe, your thoughts?
Yeah, I thought she did a great job. She got across in front. She was conceding space and took a hit down the middle. I'd probably prefer that to be a no call, but if we're making a call, it is a charge more than a block.
Yeah, maybe a little bit of that off arm as well might have just come into it. Been a physical game. Refs have let them play for the most part. Physicality on the ball. It forces another turnover. So they might be giving the ball away, but now they're starting to create a few of their own. Coffee for three. Doesn't go. Both teams getting great looks. Alice v. Lockridge is a war of attrition at the moment. Inside 2 minutes to play in the first half. And that is another turnover. Number 8 for the Flyers. 20 for the first half across both teams. I'm blaming the humidity, though. I'm blaming the humidity.
Well, you can't blame the D, because in the first quarter, it definitely was the D. There were deflections and tips going in and, you know, left and right, and it was a great job from the D. At the moment, these are just errors from the players. So hopefully it is the humidity and it's something they can fix. But you need to, they've got to, both teams have to take care of the ball or it's going to be a very long game.
Good defensive set. Well, if you're a fan of defensive basketball, you might be having the night of your life at the moment. 90 seconds to play in the second quarter. Good run, extra drop-off pass. Shot doesn't go, but free throws to come for Froling, and everyone just gets to have a little bit of a breather.
And a great recognition from Lauren Cox there. You see that, you know, Tara Reid is stuck behind her in defensive transition, so she just motored to the front of the rim, which caused defense to collapse on her and opened up Alicia Froling. That transition is what we want to see from Townsville.
It's a great shout, and it's a thing for youngsters as well. You might not always end up with the points. Great time to also shout out the great folk at Ford. Ford dealers are all about supporting the game here in Australia. From Ford Aussie Hoops all the way up to the WNBL. They've been backing Aussie sports and communities for nearly 100 years. So when you're ready to hit the court, your local Ford dealer is here to help you get to the game. And a bit of tunnel ball there from the Southside Flyers, and it'll be once again Townsville ball.
The look there was the right look. What they were trying to do, there was just a little bit too much congestion. They need to just space out that side of the floor so they can, you know, operate in that area.
Alice, no hesitation. It was a good look, almost dropped. Cox goes to work, flips it up. Hillman cop one to the face after on the rebound contest, but geez, that battle inside is a fun one to watch. Going to be sore bodies, I think, after this game.
Definitely.
Cox just sheds Lockridge. Get out of my way, but she couldn't finish the points. Flyers lead by 7, inside 40 seconds. If they could take a double-digit lead into the break, that would be huge. Here's Rochi. Single digits on the shot clock, one way, back the other. Great defensive set. Cole from deep. Couldn't make them pay. Mansfield gets the rebound. Got to push the ball back the other way. Get set up. You've got plenty of time now. Just get it into the front court. 10 seconds to play in the first half. Mansfield happy to take her time. Pick comes from Cox. Another from Woods. Kick to the corner. Froling goes baseline, takes some contact, no foul called. The points from Alice won't count. And that physicality is a sign of what has gone down in this first half. It has been an absolute battle. There are tired bodies already, but it's the Southside Flyers who hold the advantage after 20 minutes. The visitors lead 29-22 over the Townsville Fire.
composure. Jackson blows the roof off.
Wow, it's LJ the GOAT.
There's Jackson again.
Well, that's something that they're going to have to take care of business. Through every heartache, through every cheer, we won't give up till the final buzzer. We've never been more ready.
Need the composure. Jackson blows the roof off.
Wow, it's LJ the GOAT.
There's Jackson again.
Well, that's something that they're going to have to take care of business. Through every heartache, through every cheer, we won't give up till the final buzzer. We've never been more ready.
Get closer to the game with the free WNBL app.
Clark with the N1!
Check out the fixture and grab your tickets.
What a finish to the third quarter.
Catch game highlights, stay connected to your favourite player or team, and follow live game stats. Anytime, anywhere.
Cole cracks two more.
The WNBL app is where it's at. Download now.
Celebrating 50 years of sneakers?
For a delicious dinner that disappears and lets you squeeze in one more episode before bed. Pick up Latina Fresh, Australia's favourite pasta and sauce. Latina, we got the weeknight.
Ford dealers have backed sport in communities for nearly 100 years. And now, from the Boomers and Opals to Aussie Hoops, your local Ford dealer is proud to support basketball. Because all dreams start somewhere.
Hello and welcome back to the Townsville Entertainment Centre. It's been a brutal battle in the first half, and it's Southside who are looking to get their 5th win of the season, looking to just start to drag themselves off the bottom of the ladder that lead 29 to Townsville's 22. If you're just joining us, my name's Matt Hickey. I'm joined by Zoe Carr. And Zoe, it's really going to be a case of who's going to look after the ball in the second half, because there were some periods through there where both teams were just a little bit too sloppy.
It definitely is. The turnover count has been considerably high, and defensively, both teams have had patches of really good, solid D. But one of the areas both teams need to really try and put some pressure on is the offensive rebound count. Both teams only have 4 each, but both teams are also only shooting at 32% from the field. So there are offensive rebounds up for grabs, and while shooting is so tough, or scoring is so tough to come by in this game, there are free points on offer with offensive boards and putbacks.
You just get the feeling this game, it's going to take one player to really catch fire, take the game by the scruff of the neck. And, well, it
She's sorted. She's good. Lands it from 3.
On the line, on target.
Alice to Crowley. Really wanted to get Alice back. Gets her eventually. Abby Alice for the win. Oh my goodness! You could not have defended that any better, Abby Ellis. Abby Ellis, you are clutch! The game winner for the Fire!
Welcome back to the Townsville Entertainment Centre. The second half, not too far away, but the star of the first half, Zoe Carr, was Naz Hillman. Well, it was Zoe Carr as well, but on the court, it was Naz Hillman who had 12 points, 8 rebounds, and it was crucial. But as we mentioned before, doing it at a relatively decent clip, which compared to most others on the court, is pretty impressive.
Yeah, the shooting percentages of both groups has not been where they would like them, but she's continuing to show that she can score from everywhere. She can hit threes, she can roll to the basket, she can make post moves, go to the foul line and be pretty productive there. So the Flyers need to continue to go to her and make her a real purpose in their offense, so she can then start opening up other players.
And shooting from beyond the arc being really solid as well. Now you may notice today, and you'll see in that picture there of the Flyers, that players from both teams have a purple band around the top of their singlet and have done across the season. Now, This band is a powerful symbol of support for survivors of domestic violence. This season, the WNBL, clubs, athletes and the Players Association have united to raise awareness around this critical issue. Enough is enough. A life free from violence is possible, and when everyone plays a role, real change happens. Learn how you can be part of the solution by visiting Full Stop Australia. That's Full Stop Australia. Details up there on your screen right now. You can scan that QR code. A really important initiative from the WNBL, the clubs, the athletes, the Players Association, everyone involved, and make sure that you go check out some of that information, see how you can be part of the solution. Second half, not too far away. Final moments and final messages, and I'll throw you in the Southside Flyers camp here, Zoe. What do you think the message? What's the big focal point? What's that top thing on the whiteboard that Christy Harrell is whacking as the teams were about to come out? Now she's mentioning on the clipboard.
I think right now it's how they're going to generate scores, particularly with the focus from a defensive perspective from Townsville will be on trying to stop Hillman. So how they're going to get scores if she is, say, double teamed or they make it difficult to enter the ball to her. So, yeah, trying to find a high percentage look through their offense and get that early execution to get them on track for the second half.
They did win that second quarter 17-11, but it did feel a little bit as though they might have left a few points out there in terms of a buffer that they could have built.
They missed some shots that they would normally make. And when they're good looks, they will eventually drop, but they've just got to continue or make sure they continue to get those good looks.
We're back underway, and they're going to come up with a stop straight away. So that's a good start. That is going to be a jump ball, but because Townsville had the first possession, it will stay with the Southside Flyers. Playing the YMCA early, do you think that'll ever not be played at basketball stadiums around the country?
That or Sweet Caroline, they're the two big ones.
We'll all be long gone, and that will still be ringing across basketball stadiums around the country. There's a nice little pass fake. Krinek probably could have let that one fly. Instead, back out to Rochi. Single digits on the shot clock. Good defensive play. And I think the foul now is called after that possession, and I think it'll be Hillman who goes to the line on the rebound.
I'd love to see Rochi use her left on that finish there. She did a great job of separating herself out from the defenders, but Shields and Lauren Cox are both so tall and long that bringing it back to the right hand just allows them the ability to block that shot, protect it with your right hand, and finish with the left.
And one interesting thing to note coming into the second half, Saffron Shields starting the second half in place of Alex Fowler, so one to keep an eye on. Also, just quietly, the Southside Flyers coaching staff with the matching kicks on in the Southside colours. I'll tell you what, that's a nice look. Eight-point margin. Cox been really good. That was a great find of Froling. It almost bubbled out for a moment, but good offensive set from the Fire.
And a great example of wheeling in receiver spots. So as Lauren Cox drives that baseline, Alicia Froling just wheeled up to that dunker spot or the tip of the charge circle, which turned the defender's head and allowed her the layup.
Dallas Lockridge, how good was that? It was a nothing possession from the Flyers. She weaved her way past the defense, ran into Lauren Cox, says, that's all right, I'll take a little step back jumper, and it was money. Lauren Cox back the other end, says three's worth a few more. Well, just one more than two, but she'll take them nonetheless. Shouting instructions to her defenders as well. Cox is up to 12 points. That's her second make from deep, same as Hillman. That battle continues. Turnover number 10 for the Flyers. Shields out in front, finishes with the left. It's back to a three-point ball game.
And you can just see how quickly momentum shifts in these games. You don't take opportunities that are available to you, and teams will make you pay. This low scoring I don't think will continue for the whole game. So when you do get stops, you must capitalize.
Rochi hesitates, then lets it fly. It's often just second-guessing themselves a little bit in the offense at the moment. the Southside Flyers.
You can see the advantage of a Saffron Shields type with her length. Normally, Rochi would be able to catch that and shoot that in rhythm, but the length just worried her out of that first shot.
She's longer than you think. That is a great shout, Zoe. Moves very well as well when guarding guards. Corner three on its way. That's pretty handy too. Saffron Shields, welcome to the party.
And just like that, we're level. So again, we talk about it all the time. You cannot fall asleep in this league or teams will make you pay.
Lockridge went the wraparound pass. There was no one home. Kick across Ward's. Great job to make the catch. Finishes the basket. The Fire have the lead. The crowd's going nuts. And Christy Harrow wants to talk things over. And for good reason, because it has been a 12-3 start to this quarter in favour of Townsville.
And a great job from Townsville at the defensive end. They've just really disrupted the Flyers and taken them out of their offense and then been able to push the ball. And whilst a couple of their scores this quarter have come from half-court sets, they've forced the Flyers to be out of position early so they're able to find mismatches or draw defenders in and find open shooters. Great offense as well from the Fire.
This timeout brought to you by Latina Fresh for a quick and easy weeknight dinner that the whole family will enjoy. Pick up a family pack of Latina Fresh pasta and sauce. And Zoe, this always makes my stomach grumble a little bit because I start getting hungry when I talk about Latina Fresh. It's ready in minutes and so delicious there won't be any complaints at the dinner table or the lunch table or even the breakfast table if you're that way inclined. Find Latina Fresh in a chilled pasta aisle near you.
How was your Latina in the break between games?
Quick. Quick. Because it's ready in minutes, Zoe. I just said that. It's ready in minutes. Delicious. Hit the spot. We love our good friends at Latina Fresh. So 2-point lead for the Townsville Fire, 34-32. And now it's over to Southside. First point, got to look after the ball. And got to find some easy looks.
They do. Get back to that, shifting the ball from one side to the other and then playing out of the pick and roll.
Nice rip through from Reed, but the pressure on the ball handler has been immense, the physicality.
And again, the length of Saffron Shields. She was able to stay at home on her player that was on the perimeter on that strong side drive, but just stick her hand in there because she's so long.
How was that for ball movement? It was one of those possessions where you just expect the ball to go in because it was so well executed. They finally get Hillman a look, and Abby Alice just reached in, and it'll be free throws to come.
And that's a great look for the Flyers, just playing in transition, finding Hillman early and trying to put some pressure on Lauren Cox as well. But you see what happens whenever Hillman's catching the ball now, defense is collapsing. So they've got to keep her as a focus. She should touch the ball on every possession that she's on the floor because it will open up other players.
Also a great sign of how if you can get stops, it just frees up your half-court offense a little bit because you can get into it quicker. And when the physicality on the ball handler is so strong at the moment, being able to just get a free quick look like that, only 1 point from the free throw line, but a better sign for the Flyers. I suppose Cox didn't look at the basket there. Normally that line drive triples hers. Good pressure here from the Flyers. Shields stuck for a moment. Single digits on the shot clock. Back to Shields. Double comes. Shook her out of it. Let the floater fly. Didn't go. It was almost miraculous from Saffron Shields. Don't know how she got so wide open.
There was a lot of movement there from the Fire with no real intent. Nobody was really looking to score. It was all driving to pass or driving to handoff. Every action needs to be a scoring threat. That's how they've got themselves back into this game.
Lockridge, one that she might want back. (34-33), Townsville with the lead. We're just almost at the halfway point of the third quarter. Courtney Wood's been relatively quiet in this game so far. Just the 4 points. Has 4 rebounds, 4 assists though. Always finds a way to impact in some manner. Alice, good help from Rochi, just worried her out of the basket. They'll get another look. And there was a mismatch right there, and it was smart play from Cox and Woods.
Yeah, Woods, just to recognise that as soon as it happens. Sometimes we can get stuck when there's a mismatch of it takes too long to recognise it, and then by the time you recognise it, it's gone. For her to be able to recognise that straight away and to just bullet the pass straight in there, again, really smart play from her.
We see some substitutions on the floor. Alex Fowler for her first minutes in the second half after starting the game, and Nia Coffey back into the game as well. Her first WNBL game for over 2,000 days, and gets called for a travel.
Be interesting to see now if the Flyers go at Fowler. She's got 3 fouls, so look to try and attack her if they can throughout their offense and force her to make a decision defensively.
See that turnover count starting to even up a little bit. A reminder that these two teams are tied for second best in the league for ball security. Only 15 turnovers per game so far this season. Hillman doesn't mind it from the top of the key, almost banked it in. I don't think the bank is open at 8:30 or so on a Saturday night in Townsville. Lauren Cox wheels that one in, and the Fire extend their lead to 3.
That is a pass from Saffron Shields. Didn't even hesitate. Beautifully weighted, hit the big running on the rim. That is peak transition offense.
Kunek turns the corner, couldn't draw the foul. Another opportunity for the Fire. They're starting to build a bit of a margin now. Crosses one way, back the other. Good defense from Reed. Even better offense from Saffron Shields. It was almost the same little shimmy shoulder shake that we saw that got her the open floater that she missed at the end of the shot clock a few possessions ago.
She's incredibly crafty, Saffron Shields. She's with the ball, without the ball. She's, you know, all the stuff that you do in backyards normally, she's able to do in games. It's so much fun to watch.
Something that you don't always see with a player of that length that's quite young, as I'm sure you've seen plenty of, Zoe. Sometimes it takes those little tricks, and they're having the ball on a string a little bit longer for longer players.
Yeah, that flair, that ability to play with a little bit of freedom and a little bit of spunk is something that, you know, as coaches, sometimes we love it, sometimes we hate it when it doesn't come off, but it works for Saf. She does a great job using it in the right way at the right times.
NBL 124 North Youth Player of the Year as well, playing with the Townsville Flames in the NBL 1 North competition. Turnover there, and just a careless one. So this is, again, what's limiting really both teams from putting a big buffer between each other, is they get to a point and then just a few turnovers, a few lapse moments, and the game tightens back up a bit. Hillman going to work. Tough defense, and that is going to be a foul, I believe, on Froling.
You just saw Froling, just hands came down just at the end of that, ever so slightly, but made contact there, and she's just got to try and keep him straight up and force Hillman. It's difficult when you've got Hillman sort of backing you down, but she's just got to try and remain straight up and force a tough shot.
Always one of those tough ones as well. Try putting your hands straight up in the air and then get someone just to nudge you in the gut and try and keep your hands straight up. You tend to naturally fold a little bit, and that's when fouls like that can happen. No major foul trouble except for Fowler to keep an eye on for the Fire. Shields and Coffey both playing with 2, and 3 to Alice Kunek for the Flyers. And that'll be Maddie Rochi's 3rd as well, I think. So a couple of interesting things as this game progresses.
You can see the Fire really trying to target the guards of the Flyers and basically back them down into the paint and force them to, you know, try and put pressure on as smaller guards. It's really smart play. I'd also like to see a bit of movement first, though. So rather than just backing down straight from the get-go, move the ball, cut into that gap, and then seal and play.
Just get the feeling this one is going to be a little bit similar to a week ago, going down to the wire. Hillman going to work on Froling. Count the points and one. Froling hits the ground, gets called for the foul. That will be her third, I believe. And Naz Hillman well and truly keeping the Southside Flyers in this one.
And a great first step there from Hillman too. Just a quick rip step and attacking the basket. And we mentioned at the start of this quarter that she has to remain a focus for the Flyers. And every time she's touched the ball in their offensive possessions, something has happened. Something good has happened. So they've got to play through her as much as they can.
To 19.7 in this quarter alone. We've still got 3 minutes or just under 3 to play here in the third. Froling gets her own miss, puts it back up and in as she so often does. Not happy with some of the officiating. A bemused look, I think, is the best way to describe that. Ockridge might have just dragged the pivot foot, but no call. With a contact on Kunek, and it forces maybe a turnover. The ball is jumping around. Reed reels it in. They've got to get a shot up because possession didn't change hands. And a great defensive set from the Townsville Fire.
And that's where deflections are just as pivotal in your defensive sets as steals. As much as steals are great and you can come up with it and you can run, deflections are just as valuable because they put not only pressure on whether next time they make that pass again, but also shot clock pressure, backcourt pressure, all those sort of things. So continuing to get deflections is something that should be a focus for anyone defending.
Yeah, the great disruptor, a handy deflection. That's why, kids, when the coach says get your hands in the passing lanes, that's why. Even if you don't get the steal, it's all right. You're having an impact. Woods with a triple. Buries it, and she's pretty happy about it as well, if you don't mind. Love when Courtney Woods gets fired up. Another player who's fantastic when she gets fired up. Bet Cole can't get that one to drop.
And a real danger point for the Flyers at the moment. That Fire are starting to find their flow offensively. They need to try and stifle this as quickly as possible. And part of that is scoreboard pressure. They need to convert some of these looks because at the moment, the Fire are just getting more and more confidence whether they score or not because they're continuing to get stops.
Got to make something happen quickly. Hillman's been the player to do it, and she scores on the left there. So they get a bit lucky with an open Lauren Cox miss on one end. They take it back the other direction, score two, cut the lead back to 3, and it's a big 60 seconds to finish this third quarter. Coffey just quite hasn't found her rhythm. Good rebound, Froling. Crowd starting to find their voice. Shields gets herself into trouble. Ball wrapped up. It should stay with Townsville. And actually, probably works out for them because now they can draw something up from an out-of-bounds play as opposed to a bit of a broken offense with only 2 seconds on the shot clock.
Yeah, they will have practiced this, last 2 seconds, etc. from a sideline. Probably a little bit easier to find a shot.
And they do, and they drop it in. Just how you draw it up. Have a bit of a loose possession, get a jump ball, and get a sideline out of bounds and score 2.
Sideline plays with buzzer beaters is going to be Southside's just almost Vietnam versus the Flyers. They're going to be struggling anytime they come up with that. They have to lock down and get over the top of screens, carry hands, and not allow buzzer beater shots.
And just like that, after the Coffee make, the lead's jumped out to 7. Really important possession here to end the third quarter for the Flyers. Cole manages to keep her dribble. looking for an option, finds Kunek, one more to Cole, wide open three on its way, can't get it to go, and the Townsville Fire, after three, have swung this game around. They trailed by 7 heading into the half, coming out of the third quarter, they lead by 7. It's a 14-point swing. Townsville 49, the Flyers 42. Well, just a week ago, these two teams played out an absolute thriller. And I tell you what, Zoe Carl, we may very well be set for another. It has been an arm wrestle if there ever was one. But it was the Townsville Fire who made their big move in what's commonly known as the championship quarter. They won that quarter 27-13. They lead by 7. I just get the feeling the reigning champs have one last kick left in them.
They do, and I would really like to see them try and play through Kunik a little bit more. If Keely Froling continues to guard her, she's currently on 3 fouls and won't really be interested in defending her out in the perimeter. She prefers to play inside the paint. So I'd like to see them go at her a little bit more because Alice Kunik only has the 5 points for the game so far. So the Fire have done a great job on her, and we know she's far more capable scorer than 5 points for a game. So play through her a little bit, but also Hillman, again, continues to just be great for the Flyers, needs to be a focal point for them.
Well, Hillman to Kunek, just like Zoe Carr drew it up, almost came off brilliantly there. Hillman just needs help, just needs someone to go with her to get the Flyers back into this one. In the context of the game, 7 points does seem like a pretty decent margin. Lockridge almost came away with that one. Shot clock's going to be down to single digits. Alice will get a little run up, get downhill. Great defensive set here for the Flyers. They just have to close it out. And they do. Shot clock violation, and that should give you some confidence.
A really good start defensively for the Flyers, but as we've mentioned, particularly in that the start of this game, now they've got to capitalize. They cannot continue to go empty after they get their stops. They've got to punish the Fire when they force them into those sort of shots.
No surprise as well that the Fire's big third quarter married up with them only giving away 2 turnovers. They had 13 at halftime, just 15 at the break, and Bet Cole with a nasty slip, and she's just gone down for the moment. So concern for Bet Cole. Play continues for the moment. I dare say it might stop shortly on this whistle. It does. It's going to stay with the Townsville Fire, but there is just a bit of concern here for Bet Cole on the opposite end of the floor.
Yeah, that looked nasty. A bit of obviously a bit of a wet patch, bit of a slip. That would that hurt from here. Instantly
grabbed the hamstring, that left hamstring. So fingers crossed for Bet Cole as she gets help from the court. Nice ovation from the Townsville Fire. One of the most liked players across the WNBL, across Australian basketball. I think that might have been a request for someone not as tall as Alice Kunek to get helped off. But nasty moment there, and really unfortunate slip as well, really innocuous. Looked like a hammy from our angle, but we'll wait to hear more information. Hopefully nothing too major, and we can see Beck back out on the court again pretty soon this season. So just a moment for everyone, just to take a breath.
And that brings Rochi back into the game as well with 3 fouls. So we'll see if the Fire look to try and use that as an advantage for them and try and draw her 4th foul as early as possible.
And teams can react in one of 2 ways when this happens. You see a leader, your team captain, somebody who plays with such energy and passion go down. It can either be a real hit to the confidence, or it can just give a little bit of inspiration. You go out and do it for your skipper. Let's wait and see for the Flyers. Good energy straight away from Lockridge on that tie-up. 4th jump ball in the half, I think. I called it a wrestle. Well, it's physically been a wrestle as well. So let's see what the Fire can draw up from the baseline out of bounds. Great possession to Cox. And it's the out of bounds plays from Townsville that continue to torment the Southside Flyers. They need an answer, and they need to get going soon. And Naz Hillman has been the player all game and all season, let's be honest, for the Southside Flyers.
And a great finish from Hillman there, but set up beautifully by Reed and how she came off that handoff. She was real tight on it, turned the corner close to Hillman, which forced the defense to lock and trail. Opened up Hillman beautifully for that layup.
Came into this game averaging just a tick over 18.5 points per game. And she's well and truly eclipsed that mark already, up to 23. We've still got 8:16 to play here in this 4th quarter. Not necessarily the most pretty free throw from Froling, but it goes in, and that's the most important thing.
That's all that matters. It's still worth a point.
Somebody in the crowd liked it. 9-point ball game, the biggest lead for either team in this game. 2 minutes have gone. Reed ran into trouble and tossed it to no one in particular, and the defensive swarm of the Fire really starting to plague the Southside Flyers.
And just the discipline there too, with Reed out of control. It can be tempting to try and have a swipe at the ball, but both Coffey and Froling just kept their hands out and forced the turnover without trying to steal it with hands.
It's a trust thing within teammates, isn't it? Trust the primary defender. Single digits on the shot clock here for Townsville. Good cross-court kick, 1 extra. Coffey sets, doesn't get it to go. Kunek with the rebound. Can she fire up the Flyers? Been relatively quiet so far in this game, but capable of so much. This is an interesting matchup between her and Coffey. Good defensive play again here from the Fire. Rochi with space, steps into a 3. It's back iron. Offense just not really going anywhere at the moment for Southside. Great step through. Good patience from Courtney Woods. And there are just certain players who, when they get in the paint, never look rushed.
It's the change of pace. So people that have heard me commentate games this season are probably sick of hearing it, but change of pace is the hardest thing to guard, and we even just saw it there. Hillman gets the catch on the high post, is stationary, and then explodes out quickly. If you can change your pace, you are a difficult defensive matchup. If you're all at one pace and somebody is as quick or quicker than you, then you are easily guarded.
And almost as important, it seems like in the last 3 to 5 years in really international basketball across the world, is the decel. The ability to de-accelerate on the spot. We see, you know, in the NBL, a player like Shaylee utilize that really well. It's such a handy skill to have, to be able to stop on a dime. I mean, it hurts my knees just looking at it, but it's such a great skill. You let your defender fly by and score the two.
Yeah, it was one of the things that Steph Reed did so well in the league last year, and all of her years, was go from that fast to slow to fast again.
Sammy Wickham, another player who's pretty handy at it as well. Mansfield, oh, that is home rims if ever I've seen it. Somehow that one drops in.
The Flyers just hitting danger territory right now. They're getting close to a point where they're going to have to make a change, whether it be changing up defensively and trying to, really disrupt the Fire, because they are executing their offense quite well and finding high percentage shots, but also offensively looking to push the ball as quickly as possible to increase the amount of possessions left in this game.
Yeah, they get a second look here. They missed an earlier mismatch. They got the switch, which they wanted. Good flick ahead from Cox. Woods chasing it and is fouled by Reed. That was a hard foul and a little smile. And you can see that. Look at the scratch. I'm not sure if that's from that incident, but that is a serious scratch across the arm of Courtney Woods.
It looks fairly fresh, so that will be from tonight, and definitely stinging with the sweat that would be in there. But great job for, again, defense generating offense. They've locked down, they forced the turnover, and they're able to run, put pressure on the defensive transition of the Flyers.
You get the feeling the next few minutes are really important in the context of this game. Timeout on the floor, they get the chance to have a chat, both teams, and we get a chance to thank one of the fantastic partners of the WNBL, Foot Locker. They're celebrating 50 years of sneakers. Celebrate 50 years and the current hoop season by grabbing the latest kicks and apparel at your nearest Foot Locker, the official major partner of the WNBL. And somebody very kindly got me a Foot Locker voucher for Christmas, and I can tell you it was lucky to last 24 hours before I spent it, Zoe. You've got to move fast on sneakers. Do yourself a favour, get down to Foot Locker. So 12-point margin, and as you said, Zoe, it's just this point of the game where they're going to make a run, bring it back, and it's going to be that tight finish, or it could end up as a 20-plus point game, which doesn't really feel like a fair representation of the first 2.5, 3 quarters we've had.
Yeah, if they continue to allow the Fire to just pick and choose where they're going offensively and dictate terms at the defensive end, then you're right, it will end up 20-plus points. But now's the time they have to make a stand and just forget everything else that's going on. Lock into their offensive and defensive rules and standards and really make a play at this, because if it lasts, 2-3 minutes longer, the game may be out of reach.
And if you have just joined us just recently, earlier in this quarter, Cole just took a bit of a nasty fall, just slipped a little bit and overextended herself. It looks like a hamstring injury at this point, but we haven't heard anything yet from the medical staff. So hopefully nothing majorly serious, but sitting at the end of the bench doesn't look like she'll take part in this game anymore, as Courtney Woods gets the steal and scores the 2. And the lead balloons out to 16, the biggest of the game. 5.5 minutes, still a long time in basketball terms in this game. Rochi steps in and makes 2, and just needs someone other than Naz Hillman to get going.
And good poise from Rochi there as well. We saw in the third quarter, she took a shot where she went all the way to the rim into the defense. So to make the adjustment and pull up is a great adjustment from her. And now they've got the stop that they need. They've got to punish them.
And Kunet will go to the free throw line. Foul is on Woods. And maybe this can get Alice Kunet going. Just the 5 points for her, 2 of 9 from the field at the moment. And one thing they have been doing well, the Flyers, is get to the free throw line and make their free throws. They're 14 of 17 before this pair. See, asking the floor wipers for a towel. It's a sweaty night in Townsville.
It'll be interesting to see if the Flyers mix up their defense off these free throws here and try to put a bit of pressure on the Fire and take them out of their rhythm, whether they go into a little bit of a press or run and jump or something, just to not allow the Fire, a chance to do whatever they want, whenever they want.
And both teams have a decent enough break as well until their next game. Both play next Saturday. The Fire host the Caps, and the Flyers make the trip out to Perth to play the Lynx.
And they have changed up their defense. They've gone to a 2-3 zone.
You got a live mic down to the bench, do you, Zoe? Remarkable. And they get a stop as well. So throw a little hitch in and see what happens. Rochi, can she get going? Maybe she can. Hold on just a second. Don't count your chickens if you've got any, Townsville. It's back to a 10-point game.
They need to make sure they take care of the paint. Something Townsville do very well against zones is slash into that paint and find the bigs inside.
Stops are where it's going to come from, but Lauren Cox, too good. The 2020 Big 12 Player of the Year for Baylor comes up with a basket when her team needed it. Hillman, up fake, drive, one extra, one more. Kunek, yes! The Flyers finding some rhythm. That was sweet team basketball.
And that's the offense they've been looking for all game, to be able to shift the ball like that, give up good for great multiple times, and then finally connect at the end of it.
Can Cox answer? Yes, she can! Lauren Cox prepared at every turn of this game with a big response. Hillman. Not quite. They have been trading baskets all night, the bigs. You can see Harrow on the bench, very animated. Some tired bodies. Rochi ready to go. Contact on the ball. Hillman one more time. She almost shot it before she had it. Rochi pull-up jumper. Just rushed at a fraction. And has Lauren Cox in the last 90 seconds just blunted the Flyers' last run. A late whistle. We'll see the ball stay with Townsville. .21 points now for Lauren Cox. 6 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 blocks, which is remarkably below her season average. Get another stop. Do they have enough time, Zoe?
They definitely have time, but they do have to start moving a little bit quickly. At least bringing it back, to within sort of 6 points, with about a minute and a half, a minute to go if they can. Then they're really in the hunt, because the way that, whilst they haven't shot overly well tonight, to this point, the way the players on their team can shoot, they can pile on points very quickly.
Alex Fowler's 4th foul. Interestingly, we haven't seen Saffron Shields for a while after a great minute to start the second half. Almost a turnover. Broken play. Can they make them pay? Reed, Kunek, bounce pass. Lockridge, single digits on the shot clock. Somebody's got to shoot it. Kunek, one more to Reed. And it drops. So when the ball gets moving, the Flyers find a way to put it in the bottom of the basket. 2:16 left in this one. And it's just game on for the moment.
And you can see the ball movement from the Flyers is what we've been asking for the majority of this game. That's the Flyers basketball that they should have been looking for earlier. I hope they haven't left it too late. But if they can continue that sort of trying to create a split or getting feet in the paint, drawing in defense, and then moving the ball to find the open shooters and connecting, then they can make a game of this.
So this time out, you would assume Shannon Seaborn may be just mentioning a few things of how the offense can combat the zone. For the Flyers, he attempted to throw straight into a full court trap of some, just take a gamble, see if you can get a quick steal and a score, single digits, still 2 minutes to play.
personally, if I was down there, that's what I would do. But it's also easy to say that from
It
up
is.
here, where it's not, you know, my.
Oh, I'm best at saying it from up here. Best seat in the house.
Yeah, because I love the disruption, and I love what a little bit of an element of surprise as well. When you are trying to get a lead back quickly, because you're running out of time, especially when you're given the opportunity out of a timeout. I like to get up the floor and be disruptive.
Doesn't look like they're going to pressure up court. And they are staying, it would appear, into this zone. Or a bit more of a matchup. Foul, that's a really tough look, and a late whistle is going to see her take a trip to the free throw line. It looked like maybe a bit more of a tighter matchup zone than just the guarding space. Almost paid off. So Alex Fowler steps up to the line. Been a little bit of foul trouble tonight. Kunek again needing just to wipe their hands. She should be relatively used to it. She played up here last year. Of course, an injury-impacted season last season. Such a fantastic player. Unlucky to miss out on the Opals team for Paris. I reckon would have been player number 13. Hillman v. Cox. Hillman again has been taking it to one of the best defensive players in the league all night. 27 points, 11 rebounds.
But here's the issue for the Flyers right now. The Fire are using, you know, long offense, taking time off the clock. They can't afford to allow them to move the ball the way they are and chew up that much time. They've got to get up and be disruptive and try and create some turnovers. It might result in, you know, the lead blowing out a little bit, but it also might bring you back into this game.
And we saw once again, it was Lauren Cox who scored down the other end for Townsville. Tell you what, I'd like to have her on my trivia team because she seems to always have the answer, Zoe.
That's very good. Well done.
Free throws here for Rochi. Free throws are good here for the Flyers because it means the clock stops.
And hopefully it gives them the opportunity to get up the floor here now. They are definitely in need of increased possessions. So get up the floor if they can and create a little bit of chaos.
Well, after that last score from Cox, it did seem as though Coach Harrower might have mentioned a change in some way, shape or form. And immediately we do see it, Lockridge pressuring up a little bit. Made that entry pass harder. The rest of her team sagging off doesn't help. Almost a takeaway for Reed. Scrambling defense. As you mentioned though, Zoe, they're taking time off the clock and stepped out of bounds. We've seen it time and time again. And with 59 seconds, lead 10, quick basket, there's still time. Fire, though, have managed to hold their nerve for the majority of this last quarter. Keep coming up with ways to respond.
They need to make sure that if the Flyers are going to score, it's 2s and not 3s. That was very close. But not allowing the three-point shot as best they can.
Back to 8 points. Almost consider starting to foul some poor free throw shooters if you're the Flyers. What a pass! That was phenomenal play, and the ball ended up in the hands of Lauren Cox, who was fouled. Will go to the line, but Lauren Mansfield, if you don't mind, have a look at this. Went one way, eyes in the back of the head.
We spoke about it before, though, about playing with that flair and what that can bring, and that's exactly what that can bring. That pass doesn't get there any other way than how she passed it. So allowing players to, particularly at the junior level, to explore with those sort of passes and playing with that sort of flair is something we need to do across the board.
Yeah, fantastic skill and execution from Lauren Mansfield. maybe a little bit frustrated that the basket didn't go in, so it doesn't get counted as an assist, but nonetheless, it looked fantastic. Now, don't forget, we also have some hoops on tomorrow, another doubleheader. How good is that? First game is Geelong, who are coming in off that victory over Southside. They're hosting Perth Lynx, which should be an interesting clash. Geelong, they'd love to take another scalp right there as their inaugural season looks to build. They're sitting 5th at the moment, 5 and 8. And then the Bendigo Spirit host the Sydney Flames out in Mildura, the Mildura Sporting Precinct, and the Bendigo Spirit. I mean, 12 and 2. What a season they are having. And it's a big game for the Sydney Flames because they have a few games in hand sitting in 4th compared to those underneath them. So they need to try and stay in front of the 8 ball there. Cox to the free throw line. At the moment, Cox and Hillman have combined for 50 points and 17 rebounds, make that 51. So the battle of the bigs has certainly lived up to its billing. Nice silent energy from the Townsville crowd, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Just sending good vibes.
I'm tipping if the free throws were down the other end, it'd be a little bit different. But, you know, I like seeing the Fire up here just trying to delay the Flyers as much as possible, not allowing them to try and increase the amount of possessions left in this game.
Kunek sent it long, and it's been a bit of the story of her night, a little bit of a moment underneath the basket. Just the 9 points for Kunek, 3 of 11 from the field. The pressure and focus on her from a defensive standpoint has been serious. Got to get the ball in here. Got to get the ball in here, and they can't. Townsville with a big defensive possession, and that will just about do it. And it looks as though the Flyers have put the cue in the rack as well. Townsville are going to defend home court after a real tussle early. They were down by 7 at half time, and they've turned it in to a big victory. Maybe a little bit of a walk. About a 1 second differential between game clock and shot clock. They're going to play it out. Shields from the car park. And it's going to stay with Townsville. 0.8 left on the clock. Something special in store, or just get it in and end this one?
Just get it in and end it, I think.
Spoken like a true coach, if ever there was one. And that is certainly the case. Game over. The Townsville Fire winners 73-63 over the Southside Flyers, who struggles in WNBL 25 continue. They led again in this game, as they did on Wednesday night against Geelong. They were up by 7 at the half, but a monster second half from the Townsville Fire means that they walk away winners by 10 points. In that second half, they poured on 51 points after having just 22 at half time. Zoe Carr, your thoughts on a big night of hoops?
Well, disappointing for the Flyers. They started this game so well, particularly at the defensive end, that both teams had their struggles offensively early, but it was the Fire that were able to find their offensive flow and start to connect. But you know, Lauren Cox was incredible throughout the entire game, so was Naz Hillman. But the one for me that really stands out is Saffron Shields. Her impact in that third quarter, you know, the stat line isn't as big as, say, Lauren Cox or Naz Hillman, but her impact in that third quarter really dragged the Fire back into this game, both defensively getting deflections, getting scores, hitting threes right when they needed them. And so it was really exciting to see the young player really step up and take charge of this game.
Yeah, certainly was, and that was the big turning point in that third quarter as well. The Flyers, they had their moments, and you felt a little bit of air went out of them when their leader and their captain, Beck Cole, went down. It was just an accidental slip as she was looking to penetrate into the paint and ended up overextending, and it looked from our perspective as a hamstring injury. That's what she grabbed straight away, but hopefully nothing too major for Beck Cole. She's one of the greats of the WNBL, and hopefully we can see her back out on the floor ASAP. Some good moments from Laura Mansfield down the stretch. That pass was pretty nice. And Courtney Woods, as she just always finds a way to have an impact. I think I mentioned way through the game that she'd been a little bit quiet. Well, she finishes with 17 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists, which is a pretty good game by most people's standards.
Yeah, definitely a great night at the office. But again, for her, one of the things that really stood out for me was how she organized the team. And when the offense was really struggling, she knew who to get the ball to and how. And that's a really great gift to have as a point guard.
No doubt about that. Now, we spoke a lot throughout the game about Naz Hillman, who put up a monster effort, 40 minutes, 27 points, 11 rebounds. But the player that we really want to lock onto was the player she did most of her battles with, and somebody I want to start nicknaming the answer, because she had them all in this game, Lauren Cox. 23 points in this one, and 11 of those came in the last quarter, and that's 11 of their 24 in the fourth period. A fantastic performance from Lauren Cox.
Yeah, she was just everywhere, because we're looking at mostly her offensive stats here, but also defensively. She was just, only the 2 blocks, but she changed so many shots throughout the game, and again, getting those little deflections and getting a hand on things that doesn't get statted. So she was massive for them throughout the game. And again, anytime Southside tried to make a little bit of a run, like you said, she had an answer or a response for it. So a massive game from her, and really exciting time for the Fire.
And you mentioned the shots changed. I want an extra stat category, which is shots that never work, because there are a few times where Southside got in the paint, looked up, saw Lauren Cox and said, "No, I won't be having any of this. Kick this out. Find someone in the corner." Well, it was a big doubleheader tonight. We saw the Caps walk away with a really impressive win. Nadia Poch was fantastic in that one, 91-76 victors over the Lightning. We spoke about that first game of the round, Geelong getting the win, and the big doubleheader coming tomorrow. Geelong United up against the Perth Lynx at 12:30 local time, and then the Bendigo Spirit out in Mildura playing the Sydney Flames at 3 p.m. local time. Fantastic lineup of hoops, so plenty more coming your way. Make sure you get a good night's sleep so you can get locked and loaded for what should be a ripper tomorrow. Zoe, fantastic to be in the commentary box with you again.
Thank you for having me.
No doubt about that. So on behalf of Zoe, all the fantastic production staff, we thank you for tuning in. It's the Townsville Fire in game number 2 winners.
Driving baseline. What a dive!
Wickham, how sweet was that? Step back.
Driving baseline. What a dive!
Wickham, how sweet was that?
Shelley with a
Step back. Wow. He's got a flamethrower at the moment. It was Steph Calvert.
Shelley with a big triple.
It was acrobatic. It was impressive. It was Steph Calvert.
Jade Bell with the lefty lay in. Capitals continue to roll. Perth have been